I'll be 98
Wow.
in September. I'm from Medicine Lodge, Kansas. It was back when you used horses. Not, we had a crawler for a tractor, an international crawler, but we worked horses to do all the hay and everything. Actually, the 49 had two crews. They had the Europe bunch, and I replaced the Europe and went to the Pacific. We made Okinawa invasion, and when I went, I'll go back a little. When I went into service with my identical twin. And when we went back, we went to Great Lakes to boot camp together. And then when we come back to outgoing unit, they asked us if we wanted to separate. And even with the Sullivans, Dad, they couldn't separate us. And we had to sign a paper to separate. And we did. And when we made the Okinawa invasion, we pulled in and anchored in a half-moon circle facing the mountains. And about, 30 minutes, here come a LCVP, and my twin brother was on it. And he was on the LST 827. And he got it new. These two skippers took us off the watch, and we went back and forth to each LST for 3 days. Didn't have to do nothing but play. And that was one of my best moments because I didn't figure on seeing. John J. ReQua. I'm Riley Ray ReQua. And we both came out of service, motor machinist mate, third class. We both were, I went to Iowa State to diesel school, and after we separated, I went there, and he went to Norfolk and trained for the 827, which was in Indiana, built in Indiana, and ours was in Pittsburgh. Like I said, when we went aboard, we were firemen second class. We did the cleaning. The motorbacks had us wiping engines and doing everything like that. But when I finally, when I got rated, I was over the main engines on my watch. When they pulled in from Africa, they had a construction battalion that they brought back from Europe. And there wasn't any sacks in the ship. So they put us all on stretchers in the tank deck, like they carried the wounded from Normandy. And it was October. It was cold, and we like to froze. We went to New York, and they refitted us in New York. The LSTs that went to Europe had 6 LCVPs on them, 2 aft and 4 aft and 2 forward, and they cut them forwards off and put 20 millimeters all along those both sides, and they put twin 40s on instead of the single 40s. And I was at GQ, I was on a 20 millimeter. I said if we'd have been on a capital ship, we'd have been in the brig. Because our uniform on deck was cut off jeans, shorts, and a ball cap. And I said, you can't go up on it.
He passed away 6 years ago, but he had him 91 and a half years. They were together, so yeah.
We had a hell of a good time. Oh, I had Hank Medlyn and Charlie Dooley and Art Long,
yeah, and
Lou Merchant and Frank Reeves and M.D. Reed. M.D. Frank Reeves, I went clear through the Navy from boot camp with him. And M.D. Reed we picked up at Iowa State. So we slept together all the time, so in the 3-tier bunks. And so we got to really know each other. I'm going to tell you this. My brother asked me, how many men did you know on your ship? And I said, I knew everyone. I talked to every one of them. And I said, how many did you know? Oh, he said 5. He said the 5 I worked with. And they stayed together. Those 5 stayed together. But heck, the first one I wanted to meet was the cooks and the baker. You want to be friends with them. And then the pharmacist's mate was pretty nice, too, to know him. And Charlie Dooley and I, he would come to Kansas this year. I would go to Baltimore the next year. We did that for 10 years. And finally, I moved to Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore 30 years, and we stayed friends till he passed away. Lou Merchant, I claim him as the last one. I kept seeing him, and he passed away in November at 100. And I always thought he was 2 years older, and he was 4 years older than I was. But we spent a lot of time together. And in my motorhoming, I went back and forth every state. If we went close to a Navy buddy, I stopped and talked to him, or stayed there overnight in the motorhome and then went on. I think I've been in everybody's yard from the East Coast. The only state I won't stay in is California, and we stayed in Yosemite and Sequoia National Park there a week. So, but the LST crew became, through the reunions, became brothers and sisters. We thought a lot of each other through the years. We drank a lot of beer and started out, it was hard stuff, and it kept going down. It got, I think in New Hampshire, Frank was secretary, and he brought all the booze, and nobody drank it. He said, I'm not holding it at home. And we gave it to all the people in the motel and said, you take it, we don't need it. And then we always started drinking was beer. And now with my blood pressure medicine, I can't even have a beer. It's gone. Oh boy. We had just got back to Pearl Harbor from Okinawa. We took Army in, and every one of the Army that we took in was wounded. And we took a bunch of Marines back to Pearl Harbor. And the night they announced that we thought we were loading for Japan. And Mr. Truman dropped the bombs, so we got and they made the LST-49 into a mail ship. Had a post office in the tank deck, and we took it to Shanghai, but we spent all winter at Tencent up by Peking, their harbor, a Taku. We sat there, and airplanes come in, and destroyers brought mail, and we had about 5 mailmen aboard that sorted it and shipped them out. And then they decided we needed to go to Korea, and we hauled troops from Busan to Jensen back and forth. And then we went back to Shanghai. We went to China after the war and Korea, but we came back to Shanghai, and I had little words with the exec officer, so he transferred me to an LCI 812, and I came home on the 812, and of course they had Gray Marine engines quad on each shaft, and you sat behind, and that's why I have hearing aids, and I am 100% disability with the VA from here. Of course, we didn't have anything to protect our ears back in those days. And I come home. I got home the night before my twin brother got married. We came in to San Diego, and one admiral said I couldn't go because we were going into decommission, and another admiral said I could go, so I went, and I I took a suitcase and I had I rolled 22 boxes of shell in each sock, and I just lined that whole suitcase full of 22 shells, and I forgot I had to go out the gate, and the Marine said, "Open your suitcase." And I opened that son of a gun, and he said, "Boy, you got a lot of white socks." And I thought, "Oh boy, now you're in trouble." But I got home, and I was here a week, and then I went to Oklahoma City, to Norman, Oklahoma, to University of Oklahoma, and got discharged. Everybody worked together on our ship pretty well. I'd go up and help the seamen do stuff just to have something to do. But I enjoyed it. I thought about re-enlisting, but I didn't do it. I enjoyed my Navy life. It was something, that everybody should. I know there's a lot of them that don't like it, but I enjoyed, and I enjoyed. When I left the ranch, I went to Cessna Aircraft, and I was an expediter. And all I had to do was talk. I didn't move parts, but I had to talk them to run them and everything. And I worked there 3 years, and I worked at Boeing Aircraft as a fiberglass tool maker. I made parts for a helicopter blades and stuff. But and I met Medlyn in 2000. And we were going to Manchester to have a small reunion with 5 of my Navy buddies that lived in New Hampshire. And we went through Memphis, and there was Medlyn Motors. And we turned the motorhome around and went in, and I said to the gal, I said, "Is there any goddamn Medlyn still here?" And she said, "I'm a Medlyn." And I told her who I was, that her Ed's dad was a good Navy buddy of mine, but he was way older, and she's called Ed, and I met him, and Hank died. We went to the 1987 LST National Reunion in Norfolk, and I went with 2 buddies that I stayed close to, Charlie Dooley from Baltimore and Frank Reeves from Missouri, and there was 7 of us there from the ship, and we formed the LST 49 Association, and we had 27 reunions starting in 1988, and we had them twice a year. We had the formal one in October, where all of us went to hotels all over the United States. And in May, we had camping, motorhomes, campers, tents, whatever you wanted to come in. And we had 100 shipmates at the 27 reunion, different ones. Out of we had the first reunion in St. Louis and the second one in Pittsburgh, and then we went back to Norfolk for the third one. And we had one of our skippers, and we had about 7 officers come regularly, and I was co-host at Jacksonville, Florida, and I had one in Baltimore, Maryland reunion. We went to every town, but most of our crew was east of Colorado. We had about 2 or 3 west, and they griped because we wouldn't. And finally, we had one in Las Vegas and one in Reno for them. But I've kept in touch with several. The last one, Louis Merchant in Knightstown, Indiana. I spent. He had a trailer in Fort Myers, and we traveled 30 years in a motorhome. So I've been in every state and every province in Canada, and we traveled with Navy most of the time. I had Art Long, and I spent 13 years. Every time we left, we went together wherever we wanted to go. Thanks, Zach.